Yes, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वम् अरोगताम् अजाढ्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनूमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं रामनामवरानने। निःश्रीण्यौ ब्रह्मलोकस्य वाग्देव्याः कर्णकुण्डले धर्मद्रुमः धर्मद्रु धर्मद्रुममहामूले वाल्मीकिव्यासयोः कृतिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. All right. So yesterday we are getting into chapter 1, subchapter 2. Yeah. Anybody else who would like to take the turn to read today? Last we had Navneeta. Atonane Odla. Shall I only read? Okay, I think I'll
Sure.
yeah, yeah. Okay, chapter. So also, so we've been having a lot of wonderful, deep, thoughtful questions coming on the group. So I think maybe sometime next week I will again put a poll on the group itself and check for a convenient time for all of us to discuss. So and then let's get on a quick one hour call. I think that call I'll try to set it up in the second half of the day, maybe something like 8 to 9. Would that be fine for all of you? 8 to 9 p.m. Or else we'll have to do another early morning thing on another weekday, which might be difficult for us. So maybe an 8 to 9 on next Wednesday or something like that. Would that be fine? Wednesday or Tuesday. I'll put up a poll on the group. But would that time slot be okay for all of you for us to discuss those questions?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Should be.
Yeah, all right. All right, starting with chapter 1, subchapter 2. Okay. So, hearing Narada's words, who was accomplished in speech, the great sage, with dharma in his soul, worshipped him, accompanied by his disciple. Having been worshipped by the proper way, the celestial sage Narada took his leave and departed through the sky to the banks of the gods, to the banks of the Tamasa, not very far from the Janhavi. I think we completed chapter 1 of 2, is it? I, oh, yeah, Nishada. I think we are supposed to start 1 of 3. Oh, yeah, sorry. Chapter 1 of 3 is what we have to start. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think 1 of 3, Alva. I.
So one of two, I don't think we've read.
Oh, is it? Okay. I think
Uh,
I got confused.
No, one of
I
two is
feel
Yeah,
over.
so.
one of two is done actually. One of one and
Yeah.
two are done. We
Uh-huh.
had to
Yeah.
start with three.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I've not noted the last session. Oh yeah, I've not noted the last session. Okay, okay. I'll let me do that. I'll do that after that. So 1 of 3 then. Yeah. Namaste ma. Good morning, Chinmay ma.
Got into the kitchen, I forgot.
Ah, no, no,
All
no. Yeah,
Right.
we just started. We just started.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. Starting chapter 1, sub chapters 3. Yeah. All right. Yes. So, yeah. Having heard everything about the intelligent one's conduct, which was in conformity with dharma, the one with dharma in his soul again sought out all that was known about this. Following dharma, the sage touched water, joined his hands in salutation, and stood on a mat of darbha grass facing the east. He sought out a chart for progress. The birth of the extremely brave Rama, who showed his favors towards everyone, was loved by the worlds. His perseverance, amiability, and devotion to the truth, the many other wonderful deeds with Vishwamitra as an aid, the shattering of the bow, and the marriage with Janaki, the dispute between Rama and the qualities of Dasharatha's son. I'll have to check the footnotes here. What that between Rama and Rama. So chapter 1 of 3. Please give me a second. I'll just check what that is. Dispute between Rama and Rama. Parashurama. So the Rama that is being mentioned there is Parashurama. So in the hard copy book, you have footnotes in the bottom of the on the page. Okay. So yeah, they are referring to the second Rama is Rama and Parashurama. Okay. And the qualities of Dasharatha's son, Rama's consecration and Kaikeyi's evil intentions, the obstacle created for the consecration and Rama's exile, the miserable lamentations of the king Dasharatha and his departure for the world hereafter, the sorrow of the ordinary subjects and the separation from the ordinary subjects, the conversation with the king of the Nishadas and the charioteer's return, the crossing of the Ganga and the meeting with Bharadwaja, having obtained Bharadwaja's permission, their sight of Chitrakuta, the construction of an abode and Bharata's arrival there to seek Rama's favors, the performance of the water rites for the father, the consecration of the sandals and the residence in Nandigrama, the departure for Dandakaranya and the meeting with Sutikshna, Anasuya's problem and the granting of an ointment for the body, the conversation with Shurpanakha and her disfigurement, the slaying of Khara and Trishira and Ravana's rise, the slaying of Maricha and Vaidehi's abduction, Raghava's lamentations and the slaying of the king of the vultures, the sighting of Kabandha and the sighting of Pampa, the sighting of Shabari and the sighting of Hanumat, the lamentations of the great souled Raghava in Pampa, the departure for Rishyamukha and the meeting with Sugriva, the generation of friendship between the two and the conflict between Bali and Sugriva, the crushing of Bali and the bestowal on Sugriva, Tara's lamentations and the agreement to reside there until the monsoon nights were over, the rage of the Raghava line and the gathering of the army, the departure in various directions and a description of the earth, the gift of the ring and the sighting of the bear's den, their fasting to death and their sighting of Sampati. The Sampati is, by the way, the younger brother of Jatayu. Okay, so the vulture Jatayu, his younger brother. The ascent of the mountain and the leap across the ocean, the solitary entry into Lanka in the night, and thinking about what should be done, the visit to the liquor room and the examination of the fortifications, the visit to Ashoka forest and the sighting of Sita, the giving of the sign, that is the representative ornaments or whatever it is that Hanuman used to prove that he is a messenger of Rama, right? And Sita's address, the censure of the Rakshasa ladies and Trijata's nightmare, Sita's gift of the jewel and the destruction of the trees, the driving away of the Rakshasa ladies and the slaying of the guards, the capture of the son of Vayu, his roaring and the burning down of Lanka, the seizure of the honey on the leap back, the presentation of the jewel and the assurance to Raghava, the meeting with the ocean and Nala's construction of the bridge, the crossing of the ocean and the siege of Lanka in the night, the meeting with Vibhishana and the recounting of the method of killing, the slaying of Kumbhakarna and the crushing of Meghanatha, Ravana's destruction and the regain of Sita in that city of enemies, the instatement of Vibhishana and the sighting of Pushpaka, the departure for Ayodhya and the meeting with Bharata, and the disbandment of all the soldiers and arrangements for Rama's crowning, the delight brought to his own kingdom and Vaidehi's exile. In this Kavya, the illustrious Rishi Valmiki described everything that happened as long as Rama was on earth and all that would occur in the future thereafter. Okay, well, that got over quickly. I think we can get to the next chapter also. Okay, so I think chapter 1 of 3 was again a very quick, like a one-liner of each chapter of Ramayana, right? So just an introduction again there. All right. So starting chapter 1 of 4 also. Okay. So when Rama obtained his kingdom, the illustrious Rishi Valmiki, in control of his soul, composed the entire account of his conduct in wonderful padas. The immensely wise one recounted what had happened and what would transpire in the future thereafter. Having composed it, the Lord thought about who would recount the tale. While the great sage was thinking about this in his mind, in the garb of sages, Kusha and Lava came and touched his feet. The illustrious princes Kusha and Lava knew about dharma. He saw that the two brothers, residents of the hermitage, possessed melodious voices. He saw that these two intelligent ones were accomplished in the Vedas. Since this only served to extend the Vedas, the Lord gave this to them, the entire Ramayana Kavya and Sita's greatness of character. The sage who was devoted in his vows told them about Paulastya's death. Paulastya is Ravana, by the way. Right, so Pulastyasya apatyam Puman. So the son of Pulastya. That is Ravana. Okay. This is to be read and sung in pleasant tones, categorized into 3 scales and 7 notes. It possesses rhythm that can be adjusted to the tunes of stringed instruments. This kavya is sung in Hasya, Shringara, Karunya, Raudra, Veera, Bhayanaka, Bhivachya, and other rasas. Those are all the Navarasas. Right? So they possess the knowledge of the Gandharvas and were accomplished in pausing and pitching their voices. Those two brothers had melodious voices and looked like Gandharvas. They possessed beauty and the auspicious signs. They were sweet in speech. Having emerged from Rama's body, they were like two mirror images of him. The Kavya was a supreme account and devoted to dharma. Those two princes learnt it in its entirety, reciting it in the proper way without any blemishes. Those two great souled and immensely fortunate ones were seen to possess all the qualities and knew about the truth. Controlled and as instructed, they sang this in assemblies of sages, brahmanas, and the virtuous. On one occasion, they were seated in a gathering of sages, cleansed in their souls. They sung the kavya in their presence. On hearing this, all the sages had tears in their eyes. They were filled with great wonder and utter words of praise. All the sages devoted to dharma were delighted. They praised the singing of Kusha and Lava, who deserved to be praised. Wonderful. This song, in particular the shlokas, are melodious. Although all this happened a long time ago, it is as if we have witnessed it now. Those two immersed themselves in it and sung it in accordance with the sentiments. Accomplished in a wealth of swaras, they sang together melodiously and with affection. The great sages who could pride themselves on their austerities praised those two in this way. They sang in beautiful tones, full of deep meaning and affection. Delighted, a sage who was there gave them a water pot. Delighted, another extremely illustrious sage gave them garments of bark. The account composed by the sage arranged in successive sections, was extraordinary and would be a foundation for poets who would come in the future. Those two singers were praised everywhere. On one occasion, while they were thus singing on the royal road, Bharata's elder brother saw them. Rama, the slayer of enemies, honored the two brothers, Kusha and Lava, who deserved to be praised, and brought them to his own abode. The Lord, the scorcher of enemies, seated himself on a golden and divine throne. His advisors and brothers were seated around him. Rama saw that two handsome ones with Venas. Rama saw those two handsome ones with Venas and spoke to Lakshmana, Shatrugna, and Bharata. They are as radiant as the gods. Let this account be heard from them. It is structured into wonderful and meaningful padas. Let it be properly sung by these two who possess melodious voices. These two sages, Kusha and Lava, bear all the marks of kings but are great ascetics. Listen to the great account they speak about. It brings prosperity even to me. Those two were accomplished in the different techniques and modes of singing. Urged by Rama, they sang, and in that assembly, Rama was also gradually immersed in their narration. Okay, that was chapter 1 of 4. Okay, taking a quick pause. I hope the pace is okay. So we'll continue with the
Yes.
next. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, face is okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 of 5. Okay. So beginning with Prajapati, several victorious and unrivaled kings have ruled over this entire earth. There was one named Sagara who dug up the ocean. When he advanced, his 60,000 sons surrounded him. This was the lineage of the Ikshvakus, one of the great souled kings. It has been heard that the great Ramayana account originates in this lineage. From the beginning to the end, everything will be recounted. It is full of dharma, kama, and artha and must be heard without any censure. There was the great kingdom of Kosala, prosperous and happy. It possessed a lot of wealth and grain and was located on the banks of the Sarayu. The city of Ayodhya, famous in the world, was situated there. Manu, Indra among men, himself constructed that city. So Manu, who was the Indra among men, himself constructed the city. So Manu is technically known as the first Manava, right? So the word Manava comes from the word Manu. So we are all descendants of Manu, Manavas. That great city was 12 yojanas long and 3 yojanas wide. It was beautiful and spread out, divided by highways. The beautiful and large royal roads were laid out well. They were always sprinkled with water and flowers were strewn on them. The king there was Dasharatha, an extender of the great kingdom. He made that city his abode, like the king of the gods in heaven. There were gates and arches, and the interiors of the buildings were laid out well. There were machines and implements of war everywhere, constructed by all manner of artisans. There were bards and minstrels everywhere. That handsome city was infinite in splendor. There were tall walls with standards surmounted by hundreds of shatagnis. Everywhere, that city was also full of large number of dancers and actors.
What is a Shatagni, if you can?
Shatagni 96 is a Shatagni is a weapon that can kill 100 at one stroke.
Um,
Shatagni, the ghna means
yeah.
to destroy. Right.
Okay.
So Shata is 100 and Ghni is to destroy. Like Shatrughna, the name is Shatrughna, the one who can destroy enemies. Right?
Destroy the enemy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, Shatagnis. Okay. So everywhere that city was also full of large number of dancers and actors. There were mango groves and a giant wall formed a girdle around the city. A girdle is like a semicircular formation, like a fort. Right? There were moats that were difficult to cross. Moat is also like a water body which is used like a fence. You know, the it's like a You must have seen some cartoons or movies where you have a water body surrounding the palace, so people can't cross that at some moat. Okay. Thus, the fortification was impossible for others to breach. I think we have somebody who joined. Rashmi, yeah. Hi, Rashmi. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. So, thus the fortification was impossible for others to breach. It was populated by horses, elephants, cattle, camels, and donkeys. A large number of vassal kings came from the frontiers to offer tribute. Merchants and residents of many countries came there. The palaces were embedded with jewels and were as beautiful as mountains. There were secret residences, and the place was like Indra's Amaravati. The city was full of large numbers of beautiful women and was wonderfully laid out like an Ashtapada board. It was encrusted with gems everywhere, and the mansions were like celestial vehicles. The houses were densely constructed on level ground, and there was no space between them. There were stores of shali rice, and the water was like the juice of sugarcane. There were drums, percussion instruments, veenas, and cymbals. They were sounded loudly, signifying that this was the best city on earth. Through their austerities, Siddhas obtain celestial vehicles in heaven. With extremely well laid out residents and populated by the best among men, this city was like one of those. The archers there were skilled and dexterous of hand, but they did not use their arrows to pierce someone who was alone, someone who was without heirs, or someone who was running away. Nor did they aim by sound alone. Intoxicated lions, tigers, and wild boars roared and roamed around in the forests. They killed these with the sharp weapons, and even through the sheer strength of their arms. The palace was full of thousands of such Maharathas. The city that was King Dasharatha's residence was like this. It was populated by those with qualities, those who offered oblations into the fire. There were the best among Brahmanas, accomplished in the Vedas and the Vedangas. There were thousands of great souled ones devoted to the truth. All of them were like sages, and some were the equal of the great sages. So, while reading through this again, I'm trying to correlate the whole description of this city to us only, to the whole personality itself, right? So, all these moats or all these Maharathas, all the armory that has been ready, it's like a person, and they're talking about this divine city of Dasharatha, right? So, in a state of mind where my mind is not polluted yet, my mind is still strong and devoted to dharma. This is how I would behave, right? So when I'm strong in my dharma, I will have my army within me mentally ready. So the next time I'm having a negative thought that is coming to disturb me, I have my army of positive thoughts ready to fight back, right? So can we correlate the entire city into my own personality, into me, when I am dharmic? Okay, so I am saying it that way. So yeah, so I thought that would that make sense? Just thought of checking. Right. I mean, right now,
Actually, it is.
yeah, right.
It
So I
is.
mean, we're just reading through the description of a city, but then why would Valmiki want to describe a city to that extent? So
Mhm.
I think it would only make sense to see that when I am dharmic, I behave like a city. So my whole, like even Bhagavad Gita also starts off with Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, right? So now Dharma Kshetra is not somewhere in North India. But the body itself is the Dharma Kshetra, right? So the whole description of a dharmic body is probably how Ayodhya looks like. So, right. So yeah, just a correlation. Yeah. All right. I think we can go to chapter 1 of 6 also. Yeah, chapter 1, subchapter 6. King Dasharatha resided in that city of Ayodhya and collected those who knew about the Vedas around him. He was far sighted and immensely energetic and loved by the residents of the city and the countryside. He was a great warrior from the Ikshwaku lineage who performed sacrifices. He controlled himself and was devoted to dharma. He was a Rajarshi who was the equal of a Maharshi. So you have those levels of rishis, Rajarshi, Maharshi, and then you have Brahmarshi. I think Brahmarshi is the highest. Right, so 105. A Maharshi is a great sage, a Rajarshi is a royal sage. So Rajarshi is the Rishi who resides with a king's support, right? Patronage. So that's the Rajarshi. So somebody who's beyond the king's support will be a Maharshi, right? So somebody who's above that also somebody who's called a Brahmarshi. Brahmarshi. So and there's a lot of qualification when it comes to the number of years of penance and the amount of energy you have, spiritual energy you have, and the enlightenment, multiple levels of enlightenment also, right? Which will make you qualify for Rajarshi, Maharshi, or Brahmarshi, right? I think we will also see an account of those also in the Ramayana. Right? Yeah. Okay.
There is anything lesser than Rajarshi, or it
Rishi.
starts with
Rishi.
just Rishi?
Rishi. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rishi. So one who
Rishi,
starts
then
of
Maharshi, I think, then Rajarshi, and then Brahmarshi.
Brahmarshi. Yeah. Brahmarshi. Correct. Rishi, Rajarshi, Maharshi, Brahmarshi. Yeah. Right.
All
And
right.
Vashishta is a Brahmarshi, I think.
Vasishta is a Brahmarshi. Vasishta, you have
Narada.
uh, Vamadeva. So Sanaka, Sanantana, all those brothers. So Vishwamitra was a Maharshi, and he had to do years and years of some 10,000 years or something, and one incident of the Menaka, you know, Menaka, right? I think amongst the Apsaras, Menaka was the one who comes and distracts him. So he loses the Brahmarshi status, and then he again goes back to penance for another 10,000 years or something to get back to Brahmarshi. Yeah. I mean, see, again, can I also relate to Rishi, Rajarshi, Maharshi, Brahmarshi as my own states of dharmic mind, right? So I might be doing 100 actions in a day, out of which let's assume that maybe 15 or 20 of them is dharmic. Rest of them are just going with the flow and not necessarily dharmic. So then I might qualify to be a rishi. And then from 20 to 25 dharmic acts, I move to 50 dharmic acts, then I become a rajarshi. Then I get into maybe 75% of the time I'm doing dharmic acts, I become a maharshi, and then 100% of the time I'm doing dharmic acts, I become a brahmarshi. Can we take it that way, right? So if
That was exactly the question behind my asking this.
yeah, so I think the way we are able to control our mind, into absolute purity of dharma. So I think that is what qualifies us to be one of those. So it's not necessarily a designation or a title, right? So like junior exam, senior exam, with exam taglatara. So right. So I think it's just the adherence to dharma, right? And I think we were also discussing on the group, right? So how much have I unlearned? I think so. It's not like a Rajarshi knows more than a Rishi, and a Maharshi knows more than a Rajarshi, and a Brahmarshi knows more than a Maharshi, right? So it's. I think they have unlearned more. So a Rajarshi has unlearned more than a Rishi, a Maharshi has unlearned more than a Rajarshi, and a Brahmarshi has unlearned more than a Maharshi, right? So there's more unlearning happening. As
More
we
than unlearning, it is the
letting go.
connect with,
Uh,
yeah, letting go and connecting within.
correct.
The percentage of that is depending on the level in which you are connected with Maya, and
Absolutely.
how much you are
Able to.
under her control.
Yeah.
So from there, From there, the journey starts. That's why it starts from. So, yeah, true.
Absolutely,
True,
absolutely.
true, true.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the more so the one of my gurus used to say, never try to control Maya. So that's next to impossible. So you only try to transcend Maya. So you accept Maya and
Exactly.
then just
That
use it.
acceptance has to come in
Acceptance has to
complete.
come. Yeah, yeah. Like yeah. The moment you say, from today onwards, I will not touch sugar. So the cosmos will try to trick you and tempt you in every possible way by giving you sugar in different forms, right? So yeah, just a very crude example. But yeah, the more we try to suppress something, the more the tendency is to actually do it. So we just leave it alone, just surrender to it and go with the flow. Yeah, be aware of what's happening. That's all. Right.
Can we
That's
spend a few minutes on this Maya concept? Because the other day, me and my mom were having this discussion about, what exactly is this Maya, and we're not able to relate to it in the real time world.
hmm.
Like
So
we say, no, everything that we see is actually, it is not there.
hmm. Hmm.
So what does that mean?
Yeah. So I
And I go
maybe
back to a sentence you said earlier in the Bhagavad Gita class that
hmm.
are like we spoke about people who are delusional, right? They like they see they are hallucinating,
Hmm.
and we said that how sure are you that
Hmm.
we are not
Correct.
hallucinating?
Correct.
Remember you said that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm connecting those two, and it's very confusing for me.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I want maybe to hear the views of others. I have a physics explanation for Maya. So yeah, but I'd like to hear what other Chinmayma, if you have a view on what your understanding of Maya. Others also can.
See, Maya is the ruler of the world. It is like there is a king over here. Okay, above the king there is the Lord and everything. But the king is basically there, okay? And the king wants everybody to listen to him, or even with a lot of love, make sure that everybody listens to him. A good king is a guy who takes care of every person. So similarly, we can take Maya as being, to put it in short, okay. See, we can take Maya as the king over here. And above the king is the Lord. Okay. Now, the Lord is the one who's created Maya. So you want to transcend. See, the rishis and all the people, the wise people, they all listen to what the king is saying. They accept the king as he is or she is and move ahead on their journey to reach the Lord. This is exactly what we are doing today. We need to do. So once you accept Maya and all her love, I would say love. You know why? Because Maya is nothing but mother. So mother wants her child close to her. Let the whole world go fish my child. Okay, that's the way it is with every mother. If you're a mother or a father, immediately it's my child. Okay, more than father, I'll say mother. So when that Maya comes, she's the incarnation of Maya for every child in the universe, the mother. So here, this is how the line goes. So where you need to do, what we have to do is accept her as she is, love her for what she is, and say, yes, Sama, I know. But still, you go further within and connect with what is real, which is our true self. And our true self, I mean, is the Lord, and we are from the Lord. So, in the middle, there has to be a system in place to take care of you. If there is no system in place, it'll be totally uncontrolled and it's a mess. So, the system created by the Lord is conducted and taken care by the King, and that is Maya. So you can't, like Rahul just said, you cannot control the king. You cannot. You just have to follow. You listen, you follow, but be aware. Connect within you. Connect with the Lord within you at all times and say, yes, I am in the system. I am involved, but I am not attached. Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Sure. Yeah, thank you. Lot of points. Anybody else who wants to share their view on Maya? Mashwat Enadru, anything you're aware? Kavita ji, Deepu, Rashmi. Rashmi, have you heard anything from Arjun Bharadwaj sir or anything about explanation of what is Maya?
No, not from Arjun sir,
Hmm.
but what I have understood is that uh, if there is anything that you can perceive from your jnanendriya or karmendriya, whatever you can describe of, think of,
Hmm.
exactly, jnanendriya or karmendriya, then that is Maya.
Hmm.
Then that's what
Hmm.
I,
Hmm. Yeah,
I, I think, yeah.
that's true. That's true. So Navneeta, here uh, there is this question. I think we discussed it. I'm not sure how long back. If there is a tree that falls in the Amazon forest right now, and there's nobody there to witness that, does it still make a noise? You know, so does that falling tree? I mean, there. Imagine there's a massive 150-year-old tree that falls down. Okay, and there was nobody there. There was no human being there. Okay, did it still make a noise? Was is a question that you can find some videos on YouTube also about that, right? And the interesting thing is the answer that most people give is no, it actually doesn't make any noise. Okay, so it's because if you are there, you are perceiving those vibrations that pass through the air because of the falling tree as a particular sound, so you know to not go there or be safe. Okay, so the sound was a perception that evolution gave us, or hearing is something that evolution gave us for survival. Okay, so technically speaking, if something fell and made a sound dhamar, so the dhamar sound exactly was not what happened there. Maybe a squirrel heard a different sound. A crow heard a different sound, right? A tiger which stayed in the vicinity heard a different sound, right? As similar as Laurel and Yanny, right? So Laurel and Yanny is one of the classic examples for Maya, right? So the world appears to different people in different ways. So for the others, just as a context, I mean, I already let out what it is, Anta. I mean, as an experiment, we can actually try this. There's this recording called Laurel and or Yanny Anta on the recording on YouTube. So I'll share that link on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So there is one very random sound that will be played. Okay. So ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಒಂದು ಸೌಂಡ್ನ ಲೂಪಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ on YouTube. And then now that I've already told those two words, Laurel and Yanni, the likelihood that right now all of you on the group will either hear the word Laurel or Yanni only. Okay, but ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡಿ, if you play the recording to people who are not on the call, maybe you play to your parents or your family members who are not there. Oh, Navneet has already shared. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. So why don't we do it right now? We'll just do it right now. ಏನು ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡೋಣ. I'll entire screen share. Yes.
We can type out on the chat what we hear.
Ah. Yeah. So 10-hour clip is it? 1 hour, 1 hour actually. So the same
What
sound
do
on
you
loop.
hear now?
I can still hear Laurel now.
Actually, the beauty of this audio is to listen to it without putting those two words on the screen.
Yeah. So that's where it is. So what are the others hearing? Rashmi ಏನು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತು? ನಾನು ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ?
No,
I think the same
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
audio is not shared.
I shared it, include audio ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದೆ ನಾನು.
No, we can't hear that. I thought everybody will watch it on
Okay,
their.
okay. Let me share again. Also share tab audio. ಮಾಡಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ.
We were not able to hear.
Oh, 1 second. Let me share again. How about now?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the same word on loop. So what are you all hearing? In ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದೆ?
I'm hearing Yanni.
Yani.
Yani.
Yani. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, ಕವಿತಾಜಿ ನೀವು ಯಾನಿ
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yai.
Yeah,
Okay.
is what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the history behind this particular thing. So, and then my elder brother, he shared this particular video. There's another shorter one. He shared this with me, clearly asking, "Hey Rahul, ನಿನಗೆ ಯಾನಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಲಾರೆಲ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ." He sent the link to me on WhatsApp. Okay. And I opened the link and then I started hearing it. The very first time I heard Yanni, and then it got converted to Laurel. So I think this was way back in 2016 or 2017. Wait, almost 10 years back now. So I heard Yanni, and then I've been hearing Laurel throughout after I heard Yanni for the first time. Right. So then I was sitting in the living room, and then I was playing this on my phone, and my mom was passing through the living room, and she heard this, and she asked at the end, though, moral anta kelistadiyalla anta she asked me. Okay. So I was like, wait a second, it's not Yanni also, it's not Laurel also. Where did moral come from? Okay. So I was a little surprised, and then I asked Amma again, ಮಾರಲ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ನನಗೆ. ಐ ಮೀನ್, ಐ ಯು ನಾಟ್ ಹಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಯಾನಿ ಆರ್ ಲಾರೆಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರಾಗಿ MORAL ಮಾರಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಶಿ ಸೆಡ್. ಓಕೆ. So I was a little surprised, and then I went to my father. He was in his bedroom, and I went to him and I played it without showing him the screen or telling, do you hear Laurel or Yanni? I just played it to him and I asked him, what do you hear? He said, I can hear airy, and he spelled it as AIRY. Okay, airy ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. So I was like even more surprised now. Where is it? So that's not Laurel, it's not Yanni. Amma said moral, and now Appa is saying airy. Okay. So then I was working at Mindtree avaga 2016. So I decided, okay, let me use this in my immediate next session. I'll use ಮಾಡೋಣ in my training session. Let me check with the participants also ಅಂತ. So the immediate next session that I had was just maybe 2 or 3 days later, and I think I had 31. I remember very clearly. I had 31 participants in the class, and there were 27 different words that people gave. 27 different words. Okay. Words like AI. Some people heard EMI. Some people heard hear me. ಅದರ ಒಂದು ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. I have a collection of about 52 total different versions that people have heard, right? So when they are not exposed to Laurel or Yanni, or if I don't mention, do you hear Laurel or Yanni, there is every other possible word that they can hear, right? So, but if I mention, do you hear Laurel or Yanni, the possibility is that you would hear either Laurel or Yanni only. Your mind is preconditioned to it. Okay. So Deepu in Kilchkonlo, what did Deepu hear? Rashmi heard Yanni. Chinmayima, what did you hear?
I heard yeah. That's all. Yeah. That's all. Yeah.
Sorry. That's also people hear that. Yeah. Okay. So now I hear crystal clearly hear the word Laurel, LAUREL. Okay. Let me play it again so you can see how. I'll play that again. Still hearing Yanni only. The rest of you.
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
same thing.
Same thing, alva. So there is an explanation video here. Pitch
But
change.
but now I am able to hear Laurel.
Kilista.
Initially I heard Yani, but now I'm able to hear Laurel.
Okay. So Illy, so what they've done is in this particular video, so the science behind the video is that they have the actual word, interestingly, is laurel, right? So, and Adana, if you reduce the frequency of the word to a particular pitch, then everybody hears the word Yanni. If you increase it to a particular pitch, everybody hears the word Laurel. Okay. Now this is kept in a pitch somewhere in between. That is why people hear different things. Okay. So in the next video that I'm going to play, Adrali, you can see they have deliberately changed the pitches, so you will end up hearing both, right? Eventually. So check ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ.
Yelly, 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 yelly,
Yeah, see, now it
yelly,
is changing.
yelly, 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 yelly.
Okay. Did you hear both? Or it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
changed?
It came till L. That much has come. I think over 1 hour it will change.
Yeah.
Yelly.
Right. So that's how
Now it
it's.
is like Laurel, lol. I think
Lol.
that has
Yeah,
come.
yeah, right. So it's how the brain is perceiving it based on my conditioning of me mentally and physiologically also, right? The sort of sounds I was exposed to ever since I was born, whether I had very loudly speaking people around me, or whether I had some machinery always playing around me, or was it an extremely silent environment, or was I born amidst nature? All of these things will impact the way my body is actually designed itself completely, right? Physically and emotionally also, and that will determine what I hear. Okay, ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೆಟ್ಟದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, we are not getting into that discussion. But yeah, we don't really perceive the same things. Basically, this is a classic example that we are not the same. We don't perceive reality the same way, right? And this is just one sense organ, by the way. We have four more, right? So there's enough videos on YouTube which show that we perceive different colors, right? Like for example, you have a screen full of dots, and only if you can perceive one particular color, you will be able to see a number Ali, on the screen. Okay, the screen is full of dots. Okay, and there is a number hidden within the dots, and only if you perceive that color, you will be able to see that number. And different people can see it. Some people can't see it at all because they don't perceive that color. Okay, so so we have enough proof to see that we perceive the world differently. So now if we get into an argument now asking who's correct, ಈಗ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಲಾರೆಲ್ ಯಾನಿದು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ಯಾಂಪರ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ವಿ ಡಿಂಟ್ ನೋ. Okay, and then we are all walking on the road and we hear this sound playing on some speaker. Okay, and I'm there saying ಅದೇನದು ಲಾರೆಲ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ, and almost all of you are hearing Yanni. And now if I start arguing with you saying go check your ears, we're going to have an argument there, Halwa. We're going to have a conflicting situation. So now I use this especially during my counseling sessions also, especially when couples come to me, and when either the husband or wife, they say, sir, 100 times I've tried to explain to him, he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand. 100 times she has tried to explain Yanni, and the other person is only able to hear Laurel. Okay, so have you, so my question back to them is, 100 times ನೀವು ಸೇಮ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಥವಾ 100 ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ, right? So misunderstandings can happen because of different perceptions like these. Okay, so coming back to Navneeta's question again, so what is Maya, right? So Maya is again the manifestations of the, so this is like a slightly crude philosophical example. So so the ultimate consciousness, Navneeta, the Parabrahman or Sadashiva, he is unlimited or infinite, right? So it's like, I think in the interest of time, I'll give this story which one of my gurus mentioned. So he's Ashwath will be aware of this story. So Purna Deti or quoted the story though. So one day the ocean wanted to look at itself, right? So the ocean wanted to look at itself, right? So if I want to look at myself, I go stand in front of a mirror or any shiny surface, right? But now the ocean wanted to look at itself. Okay, so Navneeta, if I had to ask you, if an ocean has to look at itself, how do you think it can look at itself? Let me stop presenting. The ocean, imagine a massive ocean, it wants to look at itself, and see how beautiful am I, how big am I, how majestic am I, right? So, how all do you think an ocean can look at itself?
It's a tough one. I think it'll have to look within then.
Within,
Philosophically answering that question, it'll have to
but
look within.
so now imagine we are taking the Indian Ocean stretch itself, right? So we have Indian Ocean right from Kanyakumari, and you have let's take maybe the topmost point of Sri Lanka. Okay, I forgot the name of that place in Sri Lanka, the topmost point, for example. So now the portion of the ocean which is near Kanyakumari wants to look at the portion that's there near Sri Lanka. So how do you think? I mean, it's kilometers away. Lots of scores of kilometers away. So how can it see from here to
It
there?
has to go above.
How does it go above?
For that, it has to connect with the higher.
I mean, here
Connect with the sky. Connect with the sky.
by becoming what?
Higher waves. I
Higher
mean, when
waves
it
also, the
has higher
highest wave, even if it reaches 100 feet like a tsunami also, you can't still see something that's 100 kilometers away,
waves.
right?
Right.
So yeah, but Chinmay Ma actually gave the point. So if how does water go to the sky? Water does
Rain.
rain, alwa. So so the water evaporates and reaches the sky, becomes a cloud, right? From the cloud, when it is falling down as a water droplet, it sees itself. So hundreds of kilometers above, from there it gets a big picture view. So thousands of feet above, it is getting and it now the water droplet is admiring itself. It's like, oh my god, this is me, this is how huge I am, Anta, right? So imagine like a animated story, right? So a water droplet. So, and the journey from the cloud to falling back into the ocean is life, right? So the whole life is me falling from the cloud, and akashat patitam toyam sagaram pratigachati, alva. So akashat patitam toyam, the water droplet that fell from akasha as a cloud, sagaram pratigachati. So every droplet ultimately reaches the sagaram. So what is happening now? When a droplet just detaches itself from the cloud and it now starts falling down, right? It takes some time before the water droplet
Fall.
reaches the ocean, right? So now, right now, it's only imagine you are the water droplet, you're falling down and you're looking at the grand ocean, and it's colorless. Basically the ocean is colorless, right? So the water is transparent. So the when it is falling down, it is in all admiration, is like, so I'm so immense, I'm so vast, I'm so infinite, and I look so beautiful, and I'm so divine, whatever, everything, right? So, in the process of it falling down, let's imagine there was some pollution that had happened in that area, and there's a lot of smoke or whatever that was there in the environment, right? And that water droplet got polluted. Okay, I, as a water droplet, I got polluted with some chemicals in the air, and my color changed to some brown. I became brown. Okay. So before I became brown, I actually, for a second, I stopped looking down at the ocean and I looked sideways, and I see there are thousands of other droplets also, and all of us are transparent. Okay. So it's like, hey, wait a second. It's like, you are also me only. You are also me only. The ocean is also me only. Right? Everything is me. We are all the same, transparent. Okay. But in the journey, because of the pollution, my color changed. I became brown. Okay. Now suddenly I get an identity and I say, hey, wait a second. I am brown. You are transparent. So I don't think we are the same. I think you're different. Okay. So again, furthermore through the journey, another water droplet also got polluted with some chemicals, and let's imagine it became green. Okay. Now the me as a brown water droplet, I'm saying you are 100% different. You are not the same. We are not same. Okay. Another droplet became red. Okay. Another droplet became yellow or whatever color. Okay. Violet, purple, magenta, maroon. Okay. So
Yeah,
all
so I
water
can
droplets.
actually imagine the animation movie.
Right, right, right. So it's a wonderful correlation that I got from that guru, right? Guru Mitra Purna Dvaiti ji. So So each water droplet's color changed, and they started believing that you and I are different, right? So, and for me, my correlation was each of these colors is one religion each, right? So the color is the religion, right? So until, see, now that whether I'm brown or green or red, the moment I fall into the ocean, my color disappears, the pollution in me goes away, I become part of the whole ocean, right? So but if I believe that I am brown and my color is the only correct color, that's where the problem comes. That's
That's
where
where the problem.
that's where the problem comes. Fanaticism of religion, right? So incidentally, because and the I know I might be a little blatant in using this, but religion is a pollution actually. Religion is a pollution, right? If it is considered as a means to achieve liberation, then it's okay. But if the whole purpose of liberation is gone, and then you only stick to the practices of the religion without purpose, practicing without purpose is pollution basically, right? So
And then
every
you get stuck in that.
I get stuck, right? So I will never be able to detach from that pollution within me, right? So now the point I was trying to make is something that is infinite cannot look at itself, right? Only something which is finite. So if I have a mirror which is maybe some 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet, I can only look at something which is within 10 feet by 10 feet. Right? I cannot look at something which is 11 by 10 also. It won't fit within the mirror, right? So, so now the consciousness, supreme consciousness or Parabrahman or Sadashiva is infinite, right? Now, where will I get an infinite mirror from? There is no infinite mirror. I cannot have an infinitely big mirror, right? So, what does consciousness decide? Let me break myself into infinite pieces, right? So we are all infinite pieces of consciousness, right? So through finite structures, I enjoy I enjoy infinite. I try to enjoy the infinite. So now, for example, the sweetness of a mango is also part of consciousness, right? The smell of a rose is also part of consciousness, right? The beauty of a beach is also part of consciousness. The beauty in a child's laughter is also part of consciousness. Everything is part of consciousness,
The
right?
garbage in the dustbin is also
Is also
consciousness.
consciousness, right? So the everything is part of consciousness. So now I, as the supreme consciousness, want to experience myself. I can't experience infiniteness. So what do? I experience finiteness in parts, right? And the finiteness that I experience in parts does not represent the infinite in any way, right? So I can only say I smell a rose and I say what a divine fragrance. I think that fragrance itself is God. Okay, yeah, it's part of God, but it is not God. It is not the whole representation of God. Suppose you have a favorite song and you listen to the song and you're feeling absolutely blissful. That sound that you enjoyed from that song is one portion of God, but it's not God completely, right? And the way I perceive the smell of a rose and the way you perceive the smell of a rose are all actually very different. It's very different, right? Some people may like it, some people don't like it. One man's meat is another man's poison. So we perceive things very, very differently, right? So physics prakaram, again, if you went into quantum physics, right, the more I try to look outside through a telescope, I can just keep looking out and out and out and out. The more powerful the telescope I buy, the more I can keep seeing. There is no final wall that the telescope will show. There is no wall out there, right? And the more I was just explaining this to Rashmi last week when she was home, right? So and now if I get a microscope, a really powerful microscope, initially they came to an atom and they call atomos in Latin, meaning indivisible, right? So the most smallest thing that they ever witnessed was an atom, and they thought it was indivisible. Then they actually were able to break through an atom and get into the protons, neutrons, and electrons. And now they said, okay, protons, neutrons, electrons are the most fundamental particles within an atom. And now they were able to break through an electron, within the nucleus also, a proton, and they were able to find something called hadrons. And then you have next there came something called gluons. Then there were quarks, There were like a dozen other particles that just kept appearing the more and more you went inside the microscope, right? So the last thing that you can see through a microscope is would be something called the Planck's constant. So it's a number which is I forgot. It's 10 to the power of minus 35. Okay. So 10 to the power of minus 35. So, so 1 divided by 1 followed by 35 zeros. So that is the microscopic distance, which will be the last thing that you will be able to see, because that is the wavelength of light, right? So light, for you to see something, light has to go fall there and reflect and enter your retina, right? Until that you can't see. No, light can only reflect back from something whose wavelength is bigger than light. If there is something whose wavelength is smaller than light, then light will not reflect and come back. So, but does that mean there are particles which are not smaller than light's wavelength? Just because I can't see it, it doesn't mean it does not
Yeah,
exist,
just
right?
because you can't see doesn't mean that.
It doesn't exist, alva. So there is an infinite universe inside an atom, and there's an infinite
Yeah.
universe outside the atom also. So, I give this thought, during some of my sessions. Imagine the solar system is a nucleus. The solar system itself is a nucleus, is an atom. So the sun is a proton, and all the 9 planets are
Stop.
the electrons surrounding it. Can you imagine how microscopically small I am then? Right? If if the solar system itself is one atom, right? So it's so Brahmanda and Pindanda, right? So you have microcosm within the macrocosm and macrocosm within the microcosm. So it's all ultimately appearance that's happening. So the finite is trying to, or rather, the infinite is trying to experience itself through finite, right? So the point I was trying to come to, Navnita, is when they saw an atom as particles, like imagine like marbles, like you have 100 marbles that are put on the floor, and each of these is an atom, right? When you zoom in towards that atom, 99.99995 nines, right? 99.599 portion of an atom is empty space. It's only the 0.0000001% of an atom is particles, right? The interesting part is when you decide, okay, let me look at this 0.00000 first part, you zoom in there, that is also 99.99999 empty space. Okay. So the moment you find like a sesame seed, like a saswe kalu, you find one particle, you zoom in, that is 99% empty space. You find that 0.1% particle, zoom in, that is also 99% empty space. So you keep zooming in and zooming in, you actually don't hit a wall and you don't see anything at all. So now if I'm able to hold this and show this is a phone, but you zoom in at any portion of this phone through a microscope, you only keep finding empty space. You don't find the particle at all, right? So then what am I actually seeing here? That it becomes a big question, right? So it's only appearing to you as a phone. That's the
And also that 0.0001% that we're saying is a particle, when we see the Young's double slit experiment, even that, what we're considering as particle acts very weirdly,
yeah,
because
it's a
in
wave,
that
right?
Young, yeah, in the Young's double slit experiment, when you try to observe it as a particle, you see that it's not a particle,
It's
it's
not a
a wave.
particle.
But when you try to observe it as a wave,
Wave, yeah,
it's a
it
particle.
becomes a particle, right?
Yeah,
Just a
it's
thought over here.
Uh,
Just a thought over here. Why should we go searching for that
we should,
particle?
yeah, that's the thing. We
You
should, yeah.
just let it be. The
So
moment you accept it as let it be,
correct.
nothing affects you. It's perfectly fine. You
Exactly.
accept the consciousness as it is.
Yeah.
Why do we go to define what is unlimited?
Exactly,
Because
right.
we are viewing it from the limited sphere. With this body, the capacity of the eyes, the capacity of the panchi and the indriyas.
Extremely
And
limited.
through that is what we are trying to perceive something
Unlimited, yeah.
which is beyond.
Yeah.
And then then what are we doing? Why are we taking that exercise? Relax and become part of that consciousness
Absolutely.
and relate to everything in this world with a lot of love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I mean, that is where I feel the playfulness of Parvati Devi, who is the embodiment of Maya, who is the physical representation of Maya, Parvati Devi. She's playfully sarcastic. Okay, she's sarcastic, and it's like, oh, nee nannane nodak try ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯ ನೀನು? You want to measure me? Okay, come measure, and then she expands. Okay, so you go look at an electron. She's like, oh, you think you found me? Okay, come, look at me even more, and then she splits into five other particles. Oh, you found five other particles of me? Come, zoom in more, and she shows 15 other particles. Okay, so that is how. Even I think I shared this in one of the previous sessions also. So Big Bang theory sort of got debunked, right? So Big Bang theory was not the beginning of the universe. The Big Bang, so-called Big Bang, was just another explosion that happened in the infinite universe, right? So the one of the viral videos that's happening on YouTube right now is that they found the Big Bang apparently happened 13.8 billion years ago, right? So, but the James Webb telescope, which is now outside the solar system, the first man-made satellite which is outside the solar system, it has spotted some 8 to 10 galaxies which are 60 to 80 billion years old. Here is a theory which is saying that the universe itself is 13.8 billion years old, and there are galaxies that are 60 billion years old. Does it make sense? It's like the baby was born even before the mother was born. It doesn't make sense, Alia. So that is like, again, Parvati mocking the scientists, saying, you want to see how huge I am? Come, I'll show you how huge I am. Right? So you keep zooming out and out into outer space, you will just be finding different things that, that we can't perceive, right? So
Here the story of Shiva. I mean, the end and the beginning of the world. Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and Brahma went up and down, and
correct.
that's what it is exactly. In short, it is like you cannot find out. That is the truth.
That's the truth.
But the truth is not accepted. That's the problem, because we are limited in everything. Or so we think that we are part of this limitedness. So since we connect ourselves with the limited form that we are in, all this is applicable. Going to the end, going to the beginning, and all of this story.
True.
But once you connect within you, which is what is the path shown in the Bhagavad Gita, so, you just go within you.
Absolutely.
So you don't, it is like you go to take a little thread, okay? One thread which is going right high up and down. You go to the core of that thread, you have everything with you, the entire thread.
True.
And like you said sometime back, going above and watching the thread, you will know. Or you go below and watch the thread, also you will know. Whether you go to down of Patala, which Hanuman did, to find those rings of Rama, or whether you go right up.
Correct.
Anywhere. That's it's true.
Yeah. I
Oh my
heard
goodness, this is beautiful.
an anecdote about those rings also. So when Hanuman goes to Patala, he finds
I'm just connecting you back to
infinite
the
number of
Ramayana.
rings there. Yeah. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದ- so
I'm just connecting you back to the Ramayana.
yeah, absolutely. So Hanuman, when he goes to Patala to find the rings, apparently he finds the same ring, some infinite number of it, right? Because Hanuman has come in infinite possible ways in multiple universes for the same thing there, right? So that is also, everything is also happening infinitely. So right, this particular Ramayana reading session is also happening infinitely. So we are in one portion of it. So yeah, so just I think, like Chinmay also mentioned, we should stop contemplating on the vastness and just accept, and try to befriend it, try to make friends with Maya rather than trying to control Maya, right? So, and then you transcend it. So
The same is also true of controlling thoughts. It won't happen.
yeah, just
Like a
observe.
mother, use mothercraft and let it be. You say, come, darling, sit with me. That is only the time when you can actually go within.
Correct, true. Yeah. Very nice discussion today. All right. Great. Any other thoughts? Anything? We're already 15, 16 minutes past. So, yeah, in Ilandra, we will then wind up for today. We'll catch up next Thursday.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All good. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करमावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्तिः 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 लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Thank you all. Yeah, see
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, see you next Thursday. Take care. Yeah.